Good morning, everybody. It's me, Heather Nichols, coming to you from central Minnesota for Tailored Expressions. I'm not down in Iowa, up in Minnesota, and I'm so glad you could join me today. I'm already seeing a bunch of the chat come in. Susan up in... Hold on one second. I think I'm still live. Okay, we're waiting. I'm having an error receiving Facebook comments. That's what it's telling me, but I can see some YouTube comments. So we're just going to keep going. I'm not going to stop, and hopefully maybe that will resolve itself. Otherwise, good morning. I see Susan and I see Joan from Montana. I see Kim from Pennsylvania and Tiffany from, you didn't say where you're from, but you just said you wish me happiness, and I will go with that. Good morning, Bobby from Mankato. You're not that far from me. In Minnesota. We have been having beautiful weather up here. Spring is slow in coming to Minnesota, usually every year. We are finally getting green. The buds are starting to pop. My mom and I were down in the Maple Grove area yesterday, kind of just, it's down to the metro area. We're pretty close to Minneapolis. And we had been there a couple of weeks ago and did a hike in one of the parks down there, and then coming back 2 weeks later, and the difference of how many things are blooming. There's little wildflowers popping up, just so many signs of spring. And we're from where we were about an hour away from there, and we are getting green, and our things are just starting to pop. But it's funny how even an hour away, the difference in the green is for sure. So it was fun to see that. Like I said, I saw lots of wildflowers, which surprised me, and I think that's one thing I liked about going on this hike, is that I noticed things that sometimes I don't notice that are happening in spring. And these specific flowers, they only bloom at this time of year before the leaves come out, because then when the leaves come out, then the sun can't get to them. It's a whole thing. So I'm always really fascinated by that kind of thing. So we had a good time doing that, and we're enjoying spring. I've been in my garden, cleaning things out and everything. And like I said, I know a lot of you south of us have probably already started doing those things, but we are just starting now. I see lots and lots of you popping in. I just want to say again, my Facebook comments are not working, but I can see the YouTube comments. So good morning, Kathy and Angela from Iowa and Michelle from Alaska. And yes, she says, time to get the pedicures again. Yep, I think that's on my schedule as well. Good morning, Dawn and Louise. And she's watching from Missouri, and Linda's watching from rainy South Dakota. I think we're getting some of that rain today too, which that will really help things pop. Louise, you said your daffodils have come and gone already. I have irises. I don't have daffodils in my garden, and they are just starting to come up. So those are usually my first ones to bloom, are my irises in my garden. Good morning from Peggy. You're nice and warm down in Louisiana. I bet you are. But yeah, good morning. It's good to see all of you this week for Tailored Expressions. Thank you for joining us. We have had a fun week of celebrating milestone moments with new products for graduation. I have one of those coming up in my family very shortly. Weddings. I don't know if I have, well, we have some weddings later in the summer, and new babies. And we just found out we have a new baby joining our family. My nephew and his wife are pregnant, so we are super excited for them. So I have things that I can craft with all three of those milestone moments, and I bet you do too. So there's some fun new products to inspire you, and we're going to do some crafting today to celebrate a new baby. You probably caught that by the title of the video today. So make sure that you go check out the other videos that happened this week. Tuesday, there's a walkthrough video of all the products that Taylor did with Whitney, and then also Taylor did her live on Tuesday, and she created a beautiful wedding card. Stop by our YouTube channel and blog and see a video from Joy. She did some graduation pennants, which are adorable. I did a card with the pennants it's going to be for my daughter. And also today we have a video from Alicia, and she is doing a baby card as well with the new Bundle of Joy set, and it's one of those sets that's perfect for those happy half sheets that everybody has been having so much fun with. So hi to everybody popping in. Still lots of hellos coming in this morning. It's good to see all of you today. I hope you enjoy today's project and have a little bit of fun with me. So the other thing about the milestone moments is we did bundle some things up for you, so it's really easy to shop. So if you're like, I only need wedding card stuff, we have a bundle that includes wedding card stuff. I only need grad stuff, we have a grad bundle. I only need baby stuff, we have a baby bundle. So check those out. And we also, while supplies last, I haven't heard if they're sold or not, but we have a replacement for the $100 freebie. It's the Congrats Mega Messages die, which is a great big word die that will fit across a card just perfectly. And Congrats, of course, works for all three of those milestone moments that we're featuring this week. So I'm seeing Susan says her youngest graduates from high school in June. You have lots of grad cards to make, I bet. And Anna Marie says her daughter's graduating next week from the University of Utah. Done with her master's. That is awesome. So my daughter Hannah, I know I've talked about her before. She's graduating from St. Cloud State. She has a degree in studio art. So that is coming up in 2 short weeks. So that is going to be a super fun time to celebrate with her. So lots going on, you guys. It's that time of year. I think when we hit May, there's so many things going on. Even if your kids aren't in school, it just feels like May is like just busy, busy, busy. And we're all gearing up for that super warm weather coming really soon, right? So we already have camping on our calendar as well. So that's one thing that our family likes to do. So next week, it is the last Tuesday of the month. And so it is, of course, the kit, right? The card making kit. So that is what we do the last Tuesday of the month. And I designed this kit that's coming out and I'm super excited. Now, I have a sneak peek for you, but it is not a whole project. My projects are down in the studio in Ankeny, Iowa, so I can't grab them for you very quickly. But if you are on the Fans of Tailored Expressions Facebook page, there is that sneak peek video that we've been posting on Saturdays that walks you through everything that's included in the release. So you'll see peeks of those cards then, and also next Tuesday on the live with Taylor. But I will show you a peek. I am super excited about this kit. This is a theme I've been wanting to do for quite a while, and I'm super excited about how this little die turned out. So you'll see more of that and what's coming with the kit, like I said, this weekend and also next week on Tuesday with Taylor. So I hope you're as excited as I am. I had so much fun creating with it. It was one of those things where it came together. When I finally got to craft with it, it was so much fun. So I hope you guys love it too. So that's what's coming next week. So stay tuned for that. But let's get crafty today. We're going to craft for a new baby today with this set is a set that I designed as well, the Shake, Rattle, and Roll set. So I'm going to flip you down to my camera on my desk to see what we're going to create. So we are going to create some super cute little shaker cards with the Shake, Rattle, and Roll. It's a die and clear set. So I have cards, and then I also made some tags with the little rattle. If you remember my little snowman, this goes together similar to the snowman. I know they're completely different things, but that is kind of how I kind of designed this. And I'll show you, I did regular shakers with the window acetate, but these also work perfectly with the shaker bubbles as well. This is sized perfectly for that too. So you can do it the way I'm going to show you today, or if you have the shaker bubbles, and if you don't, you can order them in the web store. But you can also do it the way I'm going to show you today with the sticky strips as well. So this works with this. These also work with the little snowman. I don't know if you remember the snowman with the bubble belly during Christmas and winter. And I had all my colors. So the colors I use too for these, I think these are my go-to baby colors. I've got spearmint, potato chip, pink champagne, and confetti cake. So there are your colors. Here's what we're gonna make. Are you guys ready? Ooh, somebody says you still use your OG typewriter. The kit might be right up your alley. I bet it will be. Okay, so here is what the Shake, Rattle, and Roll die and clear set look like. I'm gonna take them out of the little envelope there. So we've got the die there with the rattle, the little cute scallop border, little stars and hearts to make your own confetti, a cute little bow you can add onto there, and then the circle piece here so you can create your frame for your shaker card as well. So we'll cut everything out. And then there is a clear set, which they're just offset and they're just perfect. But we got Welcome Baby, Hey Baby, Sweet Baby Boy, and Sweet Baby Girl as the sentiments included in the set. And obviously they're sized to fit into that window, which you don't have to put them in the window. You can use them however you want. You can use other pieces of this for other things, little heart embellishments. That's what I embellished around the outside of the rattle there. these same little confetti pieces. Jill Hawkins has a card where she used just this cute little circle border die with a sentiment in the middle. I think she used it with the Bundle of Joy set that is featured in the video today from Alicia. So super fun opportunities and possibilities with that. So we're gonna start by die cutting. I'm gonna grab my die cut machine and we're gonna start cutting because we gotta get everything cut out for our card. So I decided that we are going to make the rattle pink. So this is the pink champagne. We are going to cut a base out of the pink, and then we're also going to cut a frame out of the pink. So let's go ahead and cut that. The other thing this looks like to me is a bubble blower, which that could be a super fun thing to play with when you're thinking of different ideas of what to use this for. You'll see it more once we get it cut out. So here's our base of our rattle right here. So I'm going to set that aside. We're going to cut again and create the frame, and that's where we're going to grab this other circular piece here. Now you can cut them at the same time, like I'm going to do here, or you can cut the base and then cut the circle piece out of it. But basically what I'm doing is I'm centering that circle inside that rattle, kind of large circle at the top of the rattle. Trying not to shift it when I'm trying to hold everything in place, but once I get it together, I'm gonna just put some, this is the Scotch removable tape, just to hold this together. Now, if you're mass producing your cards, I would like cut a bunch of your bases out first and then do this together, because once you have the spacing figured out, just cut a bunch of those out as well, which is what I did when I cut out all of the pieces for the cards I just showed you. I cut everything at one time. So here is the frame part of the rattle. So this will fit right on top of there. Do you see what I mean when I say bubble blower? It looks like a little bubble blower as well. So there's our two main pieces. Now, like I said, if you keep these taped together, this is attached to my cardstock, but keep it taped together like this, you can continue to cut additional frames if you were needing. Maybe you were doing a baby shower and you wanted little rattles for everybody's place setting or on your gift bags or something like that. Then you can get a bunch at once instead of recentering every single time. Okay, so then we also need the little detail. We're gonna cut those out of spearmint cardstock. We're going to cut that little scalloped frame, and we're going to cut a bow. And I'm actually going to cut the bow twice because I want it to be just a little more sturdy. If you're doing a card, maybe it doesn't need to be as sturdy, but a tag for sure, it's nice to have a little bit of extra sturdiness. There is that. Where is my little craft pick tool here so I can poke this out of here? There's one bow. And then, like I said, we've got our little scalloped circle. Like I said, this is so useful for so many other things. And then let's cut one more bow so we can add a little bit of thickness to that. It's also one of those things too, on a die that's a little bit more detailed. This isn't a super detailed die, but it's narrower. So if you wanted to pop it up on something, it's harder to put that foam adhesive behind it. Oh, Louise, yes, it could also be a magnifying glass as well. There's so many fun things you could do. You could do the bubble blower. You could do the magnifying glass. Yes, I can see it for sure. Okay, so there is our second bow. And I think, well, we are going to cut one more thing out, but we have to do some stamping first because we're going to need the little sentiment to fit right inside of there as well. So let's do that first. Let's stamp that, and then we're going to cut that out. Now I could cut the circle first and I could stamp on top of it, but knowing me, it will not be centered. So I like to stamp first, and then we're going to cut that out. So I've got my mini Misty here. The stamps are clear. So we're going to need that foam insert in there to pop that up to the right height. got a piece of sugar cube cardstock here. I'm going to grab my magnet. I have all my magnets, they're stuck together up here. I'm going to pop that in there, and then let's see. Let's do a little welcome baby again. So I'm just going to set that on there, and we're just going to stamp this in the Nocturne VersaFine Clair. Now on the clear stamps like this, and especially on a sentiment stamp, this stamp doesn't need a lot of pressure to stamp, so I typically just kind of add a little bit of finger pressure on there to stamp that onto the cardstock. There we go. And just keep in mind too, this Nocturne VersaFine Clair is more of a pigment ink, so it takes a little bit longer to dry, just to keep in mind as you're touching and handling everything. Okay, so we're gonna grab the die cut machine again to cut out this little welcome baby. And what I'm going to do is use that piece that we used to cut out that opening in the frame. That's what we're going to cut the sentiment out of. So I'm just going to center that right on top of my sentiment. I'm going to grab some tape. I could just be crazy and send it through, but I think I want some tape to hold that in place. Ooh, Angela, a mirror. It could be a mirror. Some foil cardstock there. That'd be perfect. You could use like the, there's the sparkly silver ones too. It would look like kind of a more of a magic kind of mirror. So there's our welcome baby on our piece of sugar cube cardstock. Cut out with that piece from the set. Okay, so now we're going to do some stamping on the Rattle piece itself. Because yes, we could take our die cut pieces and we could just put this together and it would be very, very cute. But don't forget, you can always add extra detail and kind of texture and depth to your projects with your stamps and your stencils. So if you take a really close look here, can you see I stamped that Rattle piece with sugar cube ink using, this is the Polka Chic. This came out just recently during our basics release. I am in love with this stamp. I'm going to use it a ton. I can guarantee you that. But don't you just love that subtle texture that it added to the Rattle? And there's so many other backgrounds and stencils that you could add that texture with for sure. So let's set this up in the mini Misty. Obviously you could use a regular size Misty as well. Mini Misties are the perfect size for these background stamps. Let's pick that up. So we're just literally going to set this in here. So I'm going to grab my tape runner to hold this die cut piece in place. We're going to set this in here. And then I could stamp it with pink champagne ink on here to get a tone-on-tone look, but I decided to use that sugar cube ink, especially when you're doing a bunch of colors at one time, like I did the pink and the spearmint, you know, and the, you know, confetti cake and stuff. This sugar cube ink is going to work on all of those colors. You could also do Versamark if you wanted a tone-on-tone, and that's going to work on all the colors. Or, I mean, you can use the same ink color as the cardstock. You're just going to have to be cleaning things in between more often. So let's ink this up with that sugar cube ink. We're going to stamp that right on top of the die cut piece. Could I stamp my cardstock before? Sure I could, but this also works too. I think when I was creating, I cut out all the pieces and then decided that I wanted a little more texture to it. But yes, you could definitely cut out or stamp the cardstock before you die cut as well. Yes, Susan, Polka Chic is a must-have. I have had a lot of fun reaching for a lot of those basic backgrounds that came out. Okay, there's our cute little polka dot Rattle. Let's set that aside. Good morning, people still popping in and saying hello. It's good to see all of you. If you're on Facebook, I'm not able to see the Facebook comments today, so I'm really sorry about that. I have no control over all of these things. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna adhere this welcome baby into the opening here before we start making it into a shaker. That way I know it's centered correctly. The other thing about this too is that when you die cut, you know, you have kind of a nicer, cleaner side, and then this is the side that was against my cutting pad, so there's a little bit more texture there we can see, and kind of the ridges from it cutting down on the paper. This is symmetrical, so you can flip it so the pretty side, especially if you're making tags, is going to be on the back, so that's going to look a lot nicer. Now if it's being adhered to a card, it's not that big of a deal, but I'm going to flip it this way just because then it does look pretty, because if I'm making a bunch of rattles like I was doing and not sure what I was going to do with, they're ready to become whatever I want them to be. So I'm going to line this up and add that sentiment into that opening so that it is centered. So I'm just laying these two pieces together, and then literally we're going to pop that sentiment right into there. Okay, so if we're making a shaker, we need to basically create a compartment area for the shaker bits to stay so that they're not going to escape or anything. So, and you also need to be able to see into it. So what we're going to need here is some sort of window acetate or clear something, transparency sheet, something to fill that in. We sell the window acetate. That's what it's called in our web store. So we're going to need our die cut machine one more time. And I need to cut a circle that's going to cover that window. You could also just hand cut the window acetate as well. Here's a piece of what that is. It's clear. But we've got that circle stacklets to use. So I just found the circle that's going to cut that size that will cover that window. I think this is just barely bigger than that window, but this way it gives me a lot of coverage to make sure that my adhesive can stick it down. So we're just going to cut a circle out of that acetate. I don't have problems with my cutting mat leaving like marks in my acetate. Typically I have not. If you're worried about that, you can always layer it a piece of like printer paper or something like that to protect it. But like I said, I haven't had an issue with that. And there is my circle. So let's go back and we're going to start assembling our shaker portion of the rattle. So I've got my base, I've got that sentiment on there, and then we've got the frame piece that's going to go on top. So we need to add that window acetate here to cover up that opening. Otherwise the shaker bits will never stay put. So I'm just adding some adhesive around here. You can use the adhesive of your choice. And we're going to add that window acetate right over the top there. So now I have kind of the filling of my frame to create that part of the compartment. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to use the foam sticky strips to create the kind of closure around everything. So the sticky strips are 1/8 of an inch thick. I love these strips for doing shaker cards. They're great for skinny sentiments to pop up on your card as well. I always have a nice supply of these on hand. So we're gonna take a sticky strip here, and the sticky strips are super flexible. So when you take that paper off, then you can start bending it however you want, which then it's gonna work perfectly over this circle. I'm going to take you down just a little bit closer here so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. So I'm just going to apply that. I'm going pretty close to the opening of the opening of the frame and creating kind of a well, which we're not going to fill this well. We're going to use this and we're going to cover on the other piece. But we're basically creating an enclosure where the shaker bits are going to go. This doesn't quite fit all the way around. That's okay. We'll cut another piece to fit there. So there we go. We've got part of it going around. Louise used sticky strips on many, many projects. They are really awesome. So I've got another piece here. I'm gonna just start right here, and then as soon as I get here, I'm gonna grab my scissors and we're just gonna trim that so that we can just tuck that together to create kind of that closure. So I'm gonna just, it's gonna be fiddly on me. Okay, so I've got my circle that's completely enclosed, and that's what's going to hold those shaker bits inside. Now, if I just put it together like this, that would work, but the handle is going to stick flat, which that's okay. You can do that. But if you want it to be uniform, we want to add more sticky strips around this part so it all is kind of at that same height. It gives it a nice uniform look. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to add, I'm going to add actually 2 strips down this rattle handle piece. That'll give it a little extra stability. Nothing wrong with that. Trim that. So those are good. And then I'm going to put another little circle at the bottom down here. Somebody's at Disneyland, watching us from Disneyland? Why aren't you doing all the Mickey Mouse things? Okay, eating snack. Maybe you're eating snacks. Churros, something yummy like that. Okay, so I'm just bending this to go around that little circle. So you can see this is super flexible. So I'm going over this tiny circle and I can make that sticky strip go all the way around. I'll save the rest of this one for another project. I'm just gonna adjust that just slightly so it's sticking down. All right, so this is ready to go. I'm actually going to peel my paper off here. So the sticky is exposed. I found that when you are bending around stuff, you're going to definitely need to peel that paper off. Oh, I bet you're not in the parks yet. I bet it's because you're out in California. So you probably need to wait just a little bit. They haven't quite got you open yet. Okay, so I cut out a bunch of those little stars and hearts, which are these 2 dies. Whoop, let me pull them over here so you can see them. These 2 dies from that set. I am so excited about these because I love little embellishments on cards. I just know I'm going to grab for these, especially, I just know I'm going to grab for these to use on other cards too. So I cut a bunch from all the cardstock. So the pink champagne, potato chip, spearmint, and confetti cake are the colors that I used. And I cut them out just a bunch of times to get a bunch of confetti. And then the other thing is there is a new embellishment that debuted, and it's called Bits and Pieces Sweet Baby. So it's a fun little mix of pastel sequins and beads to add into your shaker. And so let's add a scoop of that. I'm going to use my Nuvo little spoon thing to scoop in. We don't need a ton because we don't want it to cover up a lot of the words. So I need maybe about like there. I don't know if I got enough. There's some cute little beads in here. I don't know if I got many of those. I'm going to see if I can fish a few little beads in there as well. And what I'm doing is I'm just putting it right in the middle of where my shaker, our shaker bits are gonna go. And then let's do a little scoop of the little bits that I die cut out, the little stars and the little hearts. I'm gonna get a few more teeny little things. And I don't want my shaker to be too full, so I just want to do just a little bit of shaker in there. When I'm feeling good about what I have there, what I'm going to do is we're going to just lay this right on top. And with the baby rattle, I found if you kind of line up this handle, that's kind of the most important part, is the handle, and everything else seems to kind of just pop right into place. Give it a good press and a shake, and look at that. How cute! There is our little shaker. Not too hard to do, right? And like I said, if you wanted to do the shaker bubble, that would just pop exactly where we put that window acetate there. And then you don't need the foam tape. You can just glue everything flat down. So either do it this way or you can use those shaker bubbles as well. Okay, so let's decorate our cute little rattle. I've got my little scallopy frame to go around. And of course, you don't have to do it. You don't have to add it. If you want just that simple rattle, you can just do that. I think this is so much fun to add this on here though. Make sure my sticky is not sticking out of my circle. And then let's go ahead. Now, if you're going to do a tag, I would make sure that you have a scallop going straight up and down, because that gives you a good spot to punch your hole for your tag. So literally for the tag, I just punched a hole and set an eyelet in there. So if you've done an eyelet, you know how to do this. It is a little bit thicker, so it squishes it down just a little bit there. You can see on there. That's okay. It works good. There are some eyelets that have a longer reach, but I don't know how easy it is to find those. I have just regular eyelets. So, but we're gonna put ours on a card. So there's my scallop circle. Then we're gonna do our bow. And like I said, we're gonna stack those two bow pieces together. I'm just gonna add some adhesive on the front of this piece. You can obviously use liquid adhesive if you want. And then we're just gonna attach these together. And again, I'm just doing this to get a little bit more sturdy bow, a little bit more thickness and dimension. Just gonna kind of run my craft pick around those openings. It helps kind of clean up those edges. It's just something I do. I don't know if anybody else does this or not, but that's something that I tend to do. There's my bow. I am gonna use a liquid adhesive to stick this bow down. So we're gonna stick that right in about there. And again, you could have fun with where you place your bow. You could put it down by the handle, you could put it in the middle, you could put it at the top, however you want. We're gonna do that, and then let's add a cute little detail in the center of the bow. You can see I took one of the little shaker bit pieces and added that to the bow center. So let's do that here. So I'm gonna find a bigger pink heart. And let's go ahead and add that right to the center of the rattle. And let's give this just a minute to dry. I'm actually going to take a magnet, just kind of pop it on there. So that's going to just hold everything in place. I love my magnets for that, especially if I'm using liquid adhesive, just to bond everything together. Okay, let's do the card base. I have a sugar cube top fold card base. This is the heavyweight white that you can order in the packs, pre-cut, pre-scored. So I've got that. And then I cut a layer with the petite scallop rectangle stacklets. This is what this set looks like. So we're gonna add that next onto here. Gonna center that onto my sugar cube card base. You'll notice too, whenever I have stuff that has a little bit extra time to dry, I find other things that I can do to put my card together while I'm waiting. Now my next layer is this piece here, and you can see I already stamped it and splattered it, and this is the, hold on, I have it here. This is the checking in background, so it's that cute little kind of gingham background. So I stamped that in sugar cube ink on toffee cardstock, and then it's already splattered with Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white ink. That's this one right here. You guys have seen me if you have joined my lives lots of times. Actually don't think I used the chocolate truffle. I think I just splattered it with the white this time. But that is going to layer right on top of there. I think this gingham is really nice and kind of a fun neutral background for a baby card. You could also pick a color to do as well, depending on the kind of card you want to make. Like I said, I was doing lots of different colors, so I picked a toffee, my favorite anyway, but then it's going to go with all of my Rattle colors. All right, so there's the base, my background of my card. I got that scalloped rectangle, and I've got that. I didn't pop any of this up because these rattles are pretty popped up already. So once I put it on there, I didn't want a whole lot of extra height on that card. Let's see how we're doing here. Let's stick this down. I am going to do a liquid adhesive on here. I would do like a liquid adhesive or something with a little bit more grab, like our sticky tape, just to hold that onto the card base just a little bit more solidly. So let's do the liquid adhesive. I like multimedia matte. Surprise, surprise if you watch my stuff. But whatever adhesive you want, something that's gonna give it a good stick. And then I tipped it on the card just a little bit. I wonder if I want it this way. Let's do this way for this one. We're gonna stick that down. On the card, kind of centered, but also tipped like it's shaking, because obviously we're gonna be able to shake it when we're all done. And then, we talked about this right at the beginning, I'm going to add those little sprinkles around the rattle that are those same little shaker bits that we put in there. The scoop, I didn't put the scoop into the list. The scoop is the Nuvo spoon. I think, look up Nuvo spoon in our store. It's in our store. And you can use other little spoons that you have too. I think there was a little like blue spoon that came out with our basics release, and that would also give you a little scoop to use as well. Oh, Lisa, this is from my raspberry bushes out back. I do have cats, but that was from doing my gardening. So, you know, I think remind myself I need to put on gloves, but it's usually after the fact. So I am okay. All right, let's arrange these little sprinkles around. I'm gonna stick them. I'm actually just gonna kind of copy what I did on this other little card. It's one of those things where you can sit and arrange all of these little bits and pieces for such a long time on your card. This is one of the things that to me that can take the longest. Little tiny hearts, so cute. Yes, like I said, this is something I'm gonna definitely use for other projects. So we'll stick these little cuties on the card. I need a pink star. I literally cut out those, I think I cut them out 5 times, maybe 6, and I still have lots left over. And like I said, I filled up how many tags and how many cards here. I have plenty left over, so these shaker bits go a long way. I like to cut out way more than I need. All right, let's pop this down here. Need a little star up here. As soon as we get these kind of in place, then I'll go ahead and stick them down with a liquid adhesive. A little star up here. It's feeling pretty good. All right, I've got my Embelly Jelly pick and place tool. Oh yeah, Rachel, there was one in the advent calendar as well. So if you got the advent calendar, I think this is the one that came in that one. This is also perfect for spooning onto your projects. We don't have this one in the web store, but if you got the advent calendar, you should have that. Like I said, the one that I used was the Nuvo one. This one is in the store. And there is a little blue one that just came out. Okay, so the Embelly Jelly Picking Place tool has the little stick with the little wax. Like I said, it reminds me of braces. Let me find my little container of it here. It goes a long way. I bought this a long time ago. We all love using this one. So it's got the wax in there. You put a little bit on the end and you can pick up your stuff to adhere it down. So even these little paper pieces work really well with the Embelly Jelly tool. Gonna pop those down. Little star. Whoop. Little heart. This little star. Oop. This little heart. Come on. Oop. You turn. Let me just use my craft pick to readjust. Little pink star. And finally we have our little heart down here. So super cute. And I always like to tip my card to make sure I've got all my pieces. Of course, the ones inside the card are shaking too. So there is our finished card. So cute. Perfect for new baby. Like I said, you've got the cards, you've got the tags. You're throwing a shower, your invitations, you're bringing a card to someone who had a new baby. Tie these to your gifts. Tie these to your party favors. So many cute possibilities for these cute little cards and tags. Very fun. So short and sweet today, you guys. Well, not super short, I guess 40 minutes. So let me flip you guys up to the top here. So thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's take the one card we just made here and flip that up. But we've got a whole bunch of baby cards. If you like to fill your card stash, you know that this is one of the areas that you definitely are, I'm always lacking in cards for this. And sometimes these are the ones that we do at the last minute. So thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. And make sure to stop by the blog and the Fans of Tailored Expressions Facebook page for sneak peeks on the kit for next week. And of course, next Tuesday, you're going to join Taylor at 10 a.m. Central to learn all of the things and make some cute stuff with the new kit. So I can't wait to see what you guys are creating with the Milestone Moments things. And like I said, have a great weekend. So thank you very much, everybody. Thanks, Susan, for reminding everybody to